Have you ever found yourself standing in the soda aisle at the grocery store, rubbing your chin and trying to decide from the infinite variety of drinks? From soda pop and fruit juices to chocolate milk and iced teas, the options are endless. What do you buy? Which brand do you choose? Coke or Pepsi? Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks? For you, it's a simple decision. But for the companies selling these products, understanding and shaping that decision of yours is an endless obsession that involves billions of dollars and relentless rivalry. These business rivalries are nothing short of monumental battles for consumer attention. Today, companies engage in Twitter skirmishes, digital marketers battle for Facebook feed visibility, and intellectual property lawyers wage war via patent filings. Which are some of these rival companies? How far do they go to win the rat race for first place? And what innovations have sprung from the fires of their battles? Let's have a look. You curious? Discover more. Know more. Nike versus Reebok. The epic feud between Nike and Reebok is pretty much responsible for the celebrity athlete culture today. In 1964, Phil Knight, an MBA from Stanford, formed a company to import running shoes to the US. He named it Nike, after the Greek goddess of victory. 20 years later, Paul Fireman, a sporting goods dealer, acquired Reebok, a line of white leather women's aerobic shoes named after an antelope. Nike, which became a market giant by aggressively targeting male customers, overlooked the market for women's sneakers, which was dominated by Reebok. Because of this, Reebok overtook Nike in 1987, but Nike regained momentum by signing the man who would become the most iconic athlete of all time, Michael Jordan. With Jordan and the massive popularity of his Air Jordan brand, Nike surged ahead. Reebok responded by signing Shaquille O'Neal. At the 1992 Olympics, Jordan also draped a US flag to hide the logo on the Reebok-sponsored tracksuits worn by the US's winning Dream Team. The move delighted Phil Knight, who baited Reebok further by contributing $25,000 to controversial figure skater Tonya Harding's defense fees after she was accused of orchestrating a vicious attack on her rival Nancy Kerrigan, who was a Reebok athlete, during the 1994 Winter Olympics. Nike continued to snap up the most popular athletes, including Andre Agassi, Pete Sampras, and later Tiger Woods, making Reebok seem lame by comparison. In 2005, Adidas bought Reebok, but the new combined company is still a distant second to the Nike juggernaut. Coke versus Pepsi. The battle between Coke and Pepsi has been waged in supermarkets, stadiums, and courtrooms. The two giants have been at loggerheads ever since the 1890s, when Pepsi was first introduced with a bottle twice the size of Coke, but at the same price. For a long time, the Coca-Cola company even refused to call Pepsi by its name, only referring to it as the imitator. But that didn't deter Pepsi in the least, as it continued with its aggressive advertising campaigns, including the famous taste test experiments, which were TV advertisements in which blindfolded consumers voted in favor of Pepsi over Coke. This led to Pepsi overtaking Coke's market share for the first time in history in 1979, and forced Coke to do something it would regret for a while: tweak its billion-dollar formula and introduce another cola called New Coke. As luck would have it, New Coke flopped in the market, and Pepsi sales skyrocketed even more. But Coke's response to the crisis offers a lesson in damage control. The company apologized to the 400,000 customers who wrote letters of complaint, shipped its old formula to stores as Coca-Cola Classic, and gradually reduced New Coke's distribution. By the time the much maligned New Coke disappeared for good, consumers had forgotten that it had ever existed. Today, the pecking order for the major soda brands remains remarkably sticky: Coca-Cola on top, and Diet Coke and Pepsi vying for second place. Marvel vs. DC. Who's stronger, Superman or the Hulk? Who'd win in a fight, Batman or Iron Man? Will the Red Hood defeat the Winter Soldier? Who's got better aim, Green Arrow or Hawkeye? These questions have plagued comic book fans for generations, and for good reason, because such is the rivalry between DC and Marvel that many of their heroes were specifically created to go toe-to-toe with their rival comic counterpart. Shortly after DC debuted with Superman in 1938, Marvel jumped onto the scene with the Human Torch in 1939. Again, in 1960 to 61, DC's Justice League was countered with Marvel's Fantastic Four. Very soon, DC's entire arsenal of superheroes had a Marvel counterpart: Batman and Moon Knight, Green Lantern and Nova, Atom and Ant-Man, Green Arrow and Hawkeye, and Deathstroke and Deadpool, among others. But the real rivalry began when DC made the first Superman film in 1978. The movie became a legend overnight, and also a milestone for superhero films, leaving Marvel far behind in the dust. Laying low until the late 1990s, Marvel suddenly went on the offensive with the first X-Men film in 2000, and then Spider-Man in 2002, which became cult hits and paved the way for the Marvel Cinematic Universe that we know of today. The rivalry, however, was far from over, with Marvel's Avengers debuting in big screens in 2012, and DC's Justice League in 2017. Although it still remains to be seen which one of these two comic book behemoths come out on top, there's already one true winner: the fans. McDonald's versus Burger King. The burger business is all about the share of the stomach, and no one knows that better than two of the biggest fast food chains in the world. The rivalry between McDonald's and Burger King initially came down to one thing: the hamburger. Which company's burger was cheaper, better tasting, more convenient? During the 50s and 60s, the golden age of cars and fast food, the two burger chains' menus told a story of moves and counter-moves in the race for customers' loyalty. First came McDonald's 15-cent hamburger in 1948. When Burger King realized that it couldn't compete with McDonald's on prices, it decided to compete on quality and quantity. So, in 1957, Burger King introduced the 37-cent Whopper, which was more than twice the size of the hamburger. Soon, McDonald's countered with its own massive burger, the Big Mac. Burger King declared all-out war in 1982 by launching an advertising campaign that claimed customers preferred the Whopper to McDonald's and Wendy's. Both chains countered by suing for false and misleading advertising. In 1997, the home of the Whopper again took on the Golden Arches. This time it targeted the French fries with the tagline, "The taste that beats McDonald's." However, the challenge facing these two rivals today is no longer as simple as whoever has the better burger wins. Today's health-conscious consumers have left both Goliaths struggling and playing catch-up with the times. From cranberry orange muffins to chicken teriyaki sandwiches, both chains have been experimenting with new ideas in the hopes of winning the trust of health-conscious consumers. But the success of new burger upstarts like Shake Shack begs the question: why aren't the two old juggernauts sticking to their roots and trying to make hamburgers even better? Hasbro versus Mattel. When Mr. Potato Head and Barbie duke it out, you don't want to be in the room. That's right, these iconic American toys are the creation of Hasbro and Mattel respectively, the country's leading toy manufacturers, which have dominated the $18 billion toy industry for decades. In 1923, three brothers, Henry, Hillel, and Herman Hassenfeld, founded Hassenfeld Brothers. The company, which would later be known as Hasbro, started out by selling school supplies and gradually shifted towards toy manufacturing in the 1940s. Hasbro was also the first company to use television as a means of marketing directly to children, and their first big success came in 1952 with the release of Mr. Potato Head. Mattel was founded in 1945 by Harold "Matt" Matson and Elliot Handler. After the release of the Barbie doll in 1959, Mattel revolutionized the toy industry with its talking dolls and toys. Major successes with the talking Chatty Cathy doll in 1960, See and Say toys in 1965, and Hot Wheels in 1968 moved Mattel to its position as the #1 toy maker in America. But Hasbro wasn't one to be defeated so easily. In the mid-1980s, the success of My Little Pony and Transformers helped Hasbro to move past Mattel and become the world's largest toy company. However, Mattel countered by purchasing another toy company called Fisher-Price and retook the top spot in the toy industry in 1994. In 1996, Mattel attempted to buy Hasbro for $5.2 billion. But after Hasbro made it clear that they had no intention of selling, this offer was quickly withdrawn. Hasbro also went on the offensive by leveraging its toy business into the media world, largely through Hasbro Studios, which made TV and movies that center on Hasbro characters like Transformers, which were made into movies, catapulting Hasbro's toy sales through the roof. So that brings us to today. Two toy titans continue to slug it out for our hard-earned dollars. Which side are you on? Know any interesting rivalries in the business world yourself? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon for notifications of our new videos. Until next time, keep watching You Curious. Discover more, know more.